Okay, I just hit the button and I'm working on renaming.
Or live on YouTube.
Okay, we are live and ready to go.
All right,
Let's go.
so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Pillar Committee meeting, September 27, 2021. This is the Financial Pillar meeting, first one of its kind for this group. Can we get a roll call?
Director Wheeler,
Here.
Director Walper is here. Lindsay,
Here.
Melanie,
Here.
Jenny Durand,
Here.
Kirsten,
Here.
Superintendent Carpenter,
Here.
and then myself, Christina Weinert.
Excellent. Do we have any official business we're going to be voting on? Do we need to announce if we have a quorum or not, or how does that? Okay, perfect. So all committee members are present today. First thing we're going to start with is our mission, vision, and values of the Escada School District. Our mission at the district is to equip every student with the knowledge and skills necessary to be resourceful and successful. Our vision is by 2030, the Escada School District will be the premier school district in Oregon. And our values are to inspire, engage, and achieve. And we like to start the meetings that way so that we all know why we're here and what we're doing. And this Pillar Committee is something that came of the strategic plan 2 or 3 years ago. We've adopted the most recent version. And this was one of the 5 pillars that we have as part of that strategic plan. So, being that this is the first meeting for this group, we're going to just lay some groundwork. As we go through the agenda, we'll call on different people to chime in and provide information. At this point in time, we have board member updates for myself and Director Walper. I'll defer to Director Walper if he has anything for his update, and I'll remind him that you're muted there, Director Walper. So if you have anything, go ahead. Folks, you're still muted there.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that.
No
I'm new
problem.
to the game. I have nothing. I'm just here to learn today.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being here. I'm going to keep it the same way. I don't have much to update on the financial front. So Christina and Superintendent Carpenter and others, I guess we'll defer to Superintendent Carpenter because he's next on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Director Wheeler and members of the Financial Pillar Committee. As Director Wheeler talked about, I think it's important to remember the why we're here this evening. And 3 years ago, our community put together what I think is a very comprehensive strategic plan. And part of our goals inside that strategic plan is to frequently check in and hold ourselves accountable to what the community has in expectations of its school district. And so this intentional monthly Pillar Committee meeting is really aimed at constantly revisiting the strategic plan, reviewing the data of all of the actions that are occurring inside this specific financial pillar of the strategic plan. And then hopefully this committee giving us the opportunity to set 30-day action plans so that we can continually make small, quick improvements as we try to actualize what the expectations that our community has for us when it comes to financial transparent accountability. And so this is an effort and an action for the school district to hold itself accountable to doing what we said and promised our community that we would do. This is also completing another goal and accomplishment that both Christina Weinert and I have for our financial committee. Each and every single year, we have 7 great people who sit on our budget committee, and they help us and collaborate with us on building a budget that involves taxpayers' money and how we allocate those funds to conduct school operations. For years, we have been trying to involve this group of decision makers in a more comprehensive process, and so we're excited to have Lindsay and Melanie a part of this, who are such a play a big role and influence in the budget that is set forth each and every single year. So this is also the Estacada School District holding itself accountable to our budget committee as we talk about the things that we do. And so very excited about this. This is our 5th and final pillar to do monthly pillar reports. The reason why this is posted on YouTube Live is so that any single public member or citizen of the Estacada City, Eagle Creek City, or just inside our school district has the opportunity to watch and observe the Estacada School District talk about its finances and its purposes behind that. So that's your superintendent report for this specific pillar committee. I'm so excited to allow our public in this committee to get to know Christina Weinert better. We did something very difficult last year, and that is change CFOs in the middle of a school year, a very tricky and challenging process. I feel that we were blessed to have Christina come along and express a true and authentic interest to want to leave one school district and come to the Estacada School District. She is extremely qualified. Her fresh set of eyes on our books could not have come at a better time. And so I think that you will continually be impressed with Christina's talents in making sure that our taxpayers' funds are being utilized appropriately, transparently, and focused on students first. So very excited about this. And again, just a reminder that this pillar is all about short cycles of improvement from one 30-day process to the next. And I hope that you will all participate in helping us get better at how we communicate, how we spend each and every single dollar to support our kids. That's the superintendent's report.
Thanks, Superintendent Carpenter. I'll add one thing. I'm going to go back on my board report. We can all remember 5 years ago now, 2016, the election. We had a school bond that was up, and then we had the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton election. And it was a bittersweet election for some of us out there. But one of the things for the Estacada School District that we learned was that the community at large was not really happy. I don't know if happy is the right word, but fully convinced that we were being transparent and communicating well. And transparent on the financial end was probably the biggest thing, the biggest piece of advice we got on the exit interviews and polls taken after that. And so over the course of the last 5 years, 3 years specifically, we've worked to improve our communication and work to improve our financial transparency. And so I guess this is just the next step we're taking in that by offering that 30-day look, a glimpse inside of what's going on. So somewhat relevant to this. And with that, we will introduce Christina Weinert, the now Director of Finance for the school district.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that good? Okay. Here you'll see I have happy first day at CRE and also happy first day at our finance pillar. I'm very excited to get us up and moving. So to talk about a little bit, so we have two main goals for sustaining finances and accountability. The first is to score a 3.85 in our employee engagement survey. This is the survey question is the superintendent manages district finances appropriately. When they say superintendent, it's not Ryan himself, it's Ryan as part of the district. And so that's a really important goal. And our spring survey results, we scored a 3.78. I'm really excited about this because this gives me an opportunity and come in and do some improvements. And this is really without the finance pillar up and running and going. So I'm excited to see it improve with us moving and making progress and making changes in every 30 days. The next goal we have is maintain zero findings in our annual audit report. And I'm very proud to say that last year and the 2 years prior, we did have zero findings in our audit report. So we're doing really good on that. And this week, we're currently working on our audit, and my 100% plan is to move forward and have zero audit findings for our 2020-21 financials. So those are our goals. Our why. So coming into the district, I had a unique opportunity to come in at the end of the year when we were finishing our 90-day pillars at that point and starting to build our action plan for the next 90 days. And this was all new to me, but I came in and kind of did a listening session and learned what was the schools wanted, what the communities wanted. I did hear exactly what Director Wheeler said, that there was a chance to build trust within our community. So that's one of the biggest reasons, is to build the trust in the district finances, to be able to explain our why we make the decisions we make. And the second that I see is to cascade knowledge about the district finances to all the decision makers and our stakeholders. Oops, I'm not changing slides, sorry. So there's my why, sorry about that. And then the next thing is wins that have happened for me since we started, since I really started getting our finance pillar up and going. I did have an opportunity to do my first rounding with most of the buildings and the leaders, department leaders. And during that time, I got to hear what their ideas for their financial pillar, what their goals are for their finance pillar, and how they need me to help them achieve that. And what was really exciting for me is a lot of the things that they need are on my action plan. So I really feel we can go in and make some good steps in improving our communication to the leaders so that they can communicate to their staff and employees and the people that come and ask them questions. Barriers, honestly, it was just getting up and started. I feel like I don't like being behind, and I'm coming in and catching up and wanting to really achieve and make our pillar be strong. And so I'm excited about that. So really getting in and jumping in and learning what we need to get going and start our finance pillar. So for the next 30 days, these are just some ideas that I have for actions for the next 30 days. And then I would love to hear from you guys on some things that you're thinking. Next week, I do my first YouTube video to kind of give some quick tips on finance. Maggie's going to help me. Maggie and Josh are going to help me come up with some topics that maybe people are wanting to hear. Probably audit will be a big one, since that's really hot topic for us right now. And then I'm also going to be starting to work on our website to really have that be a tool to go to find information, to answer questions, share our financial reports on there, and just make it be a tool for information for our stakeholders, our departments, and our leaders. And that's all I have.
Christina, I was really excited to see the website stuff on there, because that was going to be one of my questions. Like, what are we displaying? I like to self-serve. I think a lot of our community likes to self-serve. When we have a question, we like to try to find an answer before we then go ask someone that we know is busy with 100 other things. So I'm excited to see that, we'll provide that, like updating that and making it relevant and current. That'll be awesome.
Me too. I'm very excited.
Anybody else have any questions or comments at this point in time?
I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of a discussion amongst the group, really to just circle back and calibrate, because I think what we should do in this first 30 days is really try to identify what type of things we'd like to have presented at this pillar meeting so that we can make informed decisions and also make informed improvements based on the numbers together as a team. So like, for example, it might be good to have Christina just kind of share with us where we're at in the monthly budget report and the percentage of what each line item has in comparison to the adopted budget created by the budget committee, so that we can see in real time how that budget on paper, which was adopted in July, is doing. I think that might be a good conversation to allow good discussion amongst the committee.
I don't know how in depth we're going to end up getting with this, but those people in the private side of the world are used to looking a little bit different budgets than a public budget. And so maybe, I don't know, you can do like a budgeting 101 from the government side or the public school side of here's the key points and here's how it's different than, say, a private type financial. And then dive into some of the basics of general fund versus the overall, and just, I don't want to say dumb it down, but really dumb it down into bite-sized pieces that we can all get, so that if we do have a following of YouTube people or people that are looking at this later on, they can kind of start from the beginning and then work their way into this however deep they want to get.
The other thing that I'd like to see is the financials in advance of this meeting, so I can peruse them. A lot of times in a meeting, we'll have discussion and basically you will not have anything to say, but if you have a chance to and an opportunity to review it prior to the meeting, then I know personally, I will have a lot more questions than I would at an instant meeting like this.
What does that time frame look like on a monthly schedule? Is when do they close out each month? And are these meetings scheduled accordingly so that we could do that? Or would we have like a 3-week time lag or a 2-week time lag on that?
That's a great question. So the financials, we normally will finish out the previous months when we do our bank reconciliation. And we normally get that within the second week of the following month. So when I'm presenting at the board meeting, that's prior to that bank statement. So then I can present. Right now, I was thinking our meetings would be the last or the fourth Monday of the month. And so then I could go over the exact numbers for the previous month's financials.
Okay. And you could provide those a little bit early, say the week before.
I could work on that. Yeah, the Monday prior.
Sure. Or even during the week sometime, so that if anybody or John wants to look at those, we can come prepared.
Yeah.
I think that's good, and please participate if you want to as we build and customize this to meet the needs of our stakeholders. But just a reminder, inside the strategic sustainable finances pillar in the strategic plan, there are 3 categories. The first category is building financial trust. So I think this 30-day cycle of just, where's our money at and how is that in correlation to the adopted budget is a good conversation, as well as Christina, if you can just kind of clue us in your rounding for those 30 days also. And, our principals experiencing any barriers to, accessing the money to support the kids in the classroom, if that makes sense. And so those roundings, the barriers and the wins will allow us to tell our story as we continue to improve. The second strategy is to create reserves. And so I think this is a good opportunity for us to talk about our end fund balance, our contingency fund, and maybe some other places where the school board of directors have utilized some savings and capital improvements and some of those things as well. I think that's a good topic of conversation so that the public can know, as we paint one side of the high school and replace windows, that doesn't necessarily come from the same place that we use to hire teachers, if that makes sense. And so I think that would be a good conversation. And then the third strategy is alternative revenue sources. So this might also be a good space for us to talk about our relationship with the charter school. And how we utilize those funds, and maybe a continual update on the funds that are coming in from the charter school, and other grants like the seismic grant that we're about ready to get going on at Rivermill might be a good opportunity to talk about grants. And Jenny from athletics, I know one thing that we need to do a more clear and transparent job of over the course of time is explaining exactly what ASB funds mean. And, for families who do pay that $175 fee to play athletics, or whatever that fee is these days, I think it's $175. But again, where does that go, and how does that money support kids from a ASB perspective, which is different than the general fund? Melanie, go ahead.
I would be interested because I'm reminded every once in a while about I think it's an excise tax for each house that is built that goes to the school district. And I know that with so many houses being built in Estacada, even if that's a tiny amount, I'm wondering if that's a relevant amount that allows you to do things like paint the back of the high school and replace the windows, or where does that funding go? Is it just get saved? Yeah, stuff like that would be helpful.
And Melanie, we talk about that periodically at the school board level. And I think the last time we saw an overall number was when Nick Hogan was still around, maybe 6 or 8 months ago. And I can't remember the number. I want to say it was somewhere around, I'm not even going to guess because I know it's going to be wrong. $3?
I think it was, yeah, $399. Yeah, I think it was a little over 300,000.
Okay. And that, I know that does not go very far when you're talking about capital type of stuff, but I think that might be an alternative. I don't know if it's an alternative revenue source, if it just goes into the general fund or what, but that might be good to know that if you're getting money for capital projects, then why do we have to have a bond? Because there's a huge difference between 300,000 and 30 million or whatever it needs to be. But
absolutely. And I think you're saying that just right too, because first of all, $300,000 is awesome. And it really is a substantial amount of money to help us improve our facilities. But at the same time, I think it also sheds light on reality that in order to keep our aging facilities up and running and for 21st century learning, it requires more than that. And so for us to constantly have to move general fund expenditures into that same account to, help that $300,000, I think is an important conversation. And it would be cool in this pillar committee meeting to be able to talk about just where each and every single dollar goes to support and upkeep what we're trying to do to compete with other communities so that our kids have a competitive chance as they graduate from high school, similar to that of communities who have much newer buildings to do that in.
Great, thank you.
So moving forward here, are we done with the pillar leader discussion? Looks like we are. Moving into the public comment and questions. I can't see the YouTube part. So do we have anybody that's out there?
We don't typically interact directly.
No, Josh just let me know we typically don't have anybody at this
Okay.
point.
And it doesn't look like there's anybody in the Zoom room, so asking to raise their hand. So we don't have to go anything there. Is there anything else we need for the good of the order?
I've got a question. I think it's a great idea to look 30 days out, but I think it would be very relevant for people that are watching this on YouTube if we had either a bar chart or a graph form showing how our monies are being spent according to budgeted median. In other words, you're going to have 1 month that's probably going to be under budget. You're going to have another month that's going to be over budget. And if you can see the line, how it's going, we can see if it's trending either up or down. And I just think that would be something that the public would be interested in seeing overall, rather than just month by month.
Hey. Great idea.
John, just to clarify on that, do you want to see the budget overall or individual funds?
Well,
Complicated for Christina, but I wanted to answer your question if we can.
right. I think the graph should be overall,
Okay,
and then we can have our specifics, laid out, one by one. Because you're going to have high and low.
Yeah.
Everything that I've been involved with, you got one area of the facility that's under budget, and you got another area of the facility that's over budget because they had a fire over there or something. So you need to give it an overall graph, and then you can have your specifics or a summary going over each and every one of them.
okay. So if there's nothing else, looking forward to next month. We're going to try to stick to the fourth Monday.
Yes, so that would be October 25th.
Okay. And I believe you've already sent invites for that, haven't you, Christina?
No, I'm gonna set up reoccurring ones at this point. I wanted to confirm with the budget or with the committee that would work for everyone, and then I will set the ongoing ones.
Okay.
Good. And I think a good reminder as we conclude too, to make sure, and we've got to hold ourselves accountable to this, that the purpose of this is not necessarily to look at line item by line item of the budget. It's to show our progress towards accomplishing the strategic plan. This is a strategic plan committee with an opportunity for us to take a look at our finances to make sure that we're transparently communicating it and building trust within our stakeholders. Because at the end of the day, that's what our main goal is to accomplish here, is to execute that strategic plan.
Great. Well, good first meeting, everybody. As we get into this, we'll find a groove, and each one of these will get better and better and more in depth, hopefully. So without anything else, we'll adjourn this at 4:32. Thanks, everybody.